Life as We Know It with Tom Walton.
If you tune us in regularly during this weekly drive time get-together, let me say, God bless you. And if you are a regular, you know that occasionally I share some news with you that you will not hear or read anywhere else. That's because I love to read old newspapers and tell you what I found. When I say old newspapers, I don't mean last week's Blade. I'm talking about really old newspapers, like from a century ago or more. What makes this kind of fun is the fact that journalism way back when was a little different from the journalism practiced today by the New York Times, the Washington Post, and yes, the Toledo Blade. It was not always done well in those days, but it was never dull. So let me share a story with you that I'm still not sure how to digest. Come to think of it, given the nature of the story, I'm not even sure digest is the right word here. Consider the sad tale of a woman from Bellefontaine, Ohio, who made her local papers back in 1904 after coughing up a 3-inch lizard from her innards. I truly hope this isn't going to ruin your dinner, but it's a tale, pardon the pun, that screams out to be revisited 116 years later. The woman became quite ill late on a Saturday night, and because this was back in the day when the family physician made house calls, the good doctor showed up to have a look. He asked the lady where it hurt. She said her abdomen. He quickly figured out that whatever she'd eaten was causing her distress. He administered an emetic, a medicine that induces nausea and vomiting. Faster than you can say holy reptile, out pops the little guy, wiggling around like crazy and no doubt happier than you or I can imagine to be out of such a dark and dismal place. In fact, the newspaper account said the lizard, quote, showed a very lively disposition, end quote. I don't doubt that for a second. The doctor asked the woman if she'd ever consumed spring water or water out of a pond. She said she had, but it had been 4 years earlier. The physician concluded that somehow his patient had ingested and incubated the tiny dude, and that the critter was the source of her ongoing stomach problems. He must have been right, because after discharging the lizard from its unfortunate captivity, the lady immediately began feeling better. A full recovery was expected, which was most fortunate because, well, are you ready for this? The woman had just given birth to a child 4 weeks earlier, so she had responsibilities, you know? As with many of these really old newspaper accounts, so many questions are left unanswered. Are we supposed to believe that somehow the lizard had avoided that long and winding road, otherwise known as the woman's gastrointestinal tract, for 4 years? How did it get there in the first place? I'm guessing nobody, much less a pregnant woman, would swallow a lizard. A goldfish, maybe, but not a lizard. Also, what became of the lizard? After such an awful start in life, it deserved better than being flushed down a toilet, if that's what happened. Indeed, was there even a toilet to flush it down in 1904? The newspaper story called the incident, quote, one of the strangest cases that ever came under the notice of the medical fraternity of Bellefontaine, end quote. Gee, do you think?
Life as We Know It is written and hosted by Tom Walton and is a production of WGTE Public Media. Life as We Know It with Tom Walton can be heard on WGTE FM 91 every Monday afternoon during All Things Considered at 5:44 p.m. Or hear past episodes at wgte.org/life.